Hey, how you guys doing out there? Associates Productions Movie Reviews. This is me, James. This is him, Jimmy. And today we are going over
The Expendables.
The Expendables. All three of them. First Expendable came out in...
I'm not sure when that came out. Wasn't it like... I thought it was like 2008 or something like that. Or
I know it was after high school for me,
Yeah.
which was 2007. So somewhere around there,
2008,
10, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And then 12, and then whatever. 2012, and then...
I think 2013, I think 13, the
You
third
really
one
got to
came
do
out.
more research on these movies before.
Yeah, the date wise.
But who cares? Anyway,
good movies overall.
Good movies overall.
Good action.
Good action. The first Expendables I thought was really, really good.
Yeah.
You know, for its time, with its actors and everything else. It wasn't your typical action movie, even though they try to make it like a typical action movie.
Yeah, it was a cool concept to bring in like all the big time players, and then brutal, and it was the way you want an action movie
very
to be.
violent. And then I thought each actor had his moment to shine in front of the camera when it came to either
skill set,
either the lines or the sets or the action or something like that. Nobody is primary on that, except obviously Stallone.
Yeah, since he was... Didn't he write that movie?
I believe he wrote...
Yeah.
I know he directed it. I'm pretty sure he helped write some of it and then produce it as well.
Yeah.
And so, you know, he did that. And then... I
loved his
Here's
mic.
the thing. Story-wise, it also wasn't bad because it makes sense that they're not just hiring, again, random people driving cars or anything like that to do these stunts or do the action and stuff like that. You know, there were mercenaries. There's a mercenary group,
ex-military.
You know, ex-military and all this other stuff that it made sense for that the CIA would kind of, you know, branch out and like pick some low-level guys to do their bidding,
their dirty work.
their dirty work. You know, they didn't just, you know, hire some street thug to do it. So I mean, the story made sense. Here's for me. Here's where it got a little out there because their job was to go in there and infiltrate this little island or whatever the fuck they're on, right?
Yeah.
With this little paramilitary company that they had going. And then they leave the island, they get the intel, they leave the island, whatever. And the girl didn't want to leave her people behind, all this other stuff, understandable, whatever. But, you know, it's Sylvester Stallone's character is like going back and like, oh man, why come the girl didn't want to come, man? The island's dead, man. Now I gotta go save her. It made it like this kind of love, you know, thing between them two.
Half-ass love story.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, if you're just a mercenary that doesn't give a shit, you know, why are we going back for this girl to go, you know?
There's always a girl.
You know,
there's always a girl.
I get that, but I mean, if you're gonna make a typical action movie, don't make it that typical.
Yeah.
You know.
And then the plot twist was she was the military leader's daughter.
Yeah.
I can't think of the actor that he was in Batman. He was the guy who dropped off the second floor.
Oh, Eric Roberts. Roberts. It was actually Julia Roberts' brother.
That was like the main like villain overall. That had the guy's balls in a vice.
Here's my thing. He was a villain, whatever. But I didn't see any action from him. You know?
Yeah, not really. If you towards the end a little bit, but even then it was very mild in comparison.
But Eric Roberts is actually a martial artist. He's actually like, he was in the best of the best, like all four of them. You know, he was pretty top shit in the, you know, the early 70s and 80s and everything when those movies came out. So it's not like he doesn't know how to punch and kick. So I'm like, I was actually expecting a fight scene and then nothing happened.
I mean, they're all one step away from nursing homes.
This is true. This is very, very true. But like I said, at that time the movie came out.
That's true. That was still
they were old, but they weren't
over the hill.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So here comes Expendables 2.
Oh God!
They try to make it funnier.
I think the acting in the original Power Rangers TV series was better than Jean-Claude Van Damme in that movie, and that's saying something. Because oh my God, like, wow.
So the overall plot, you know, Jean-Claude Van Damme character is trying to get, was it plutonium?
I believe so.
Or uranium, plutonium,
something
some
like
shit.
that.
To do some shit with some other shit to conquer some shit.
Basically sell it and become like this overall like money has got almost like a Triple X plot with Silent Night. Like he wants to run the business of terror.
And then I actually understand this story a little bit more than the first one because Jean-Claude Van Damme kills the one kid.
Yeah.
And they want to get revenge for that kid, you know, so they're like, okay, yeah, we're going to fuck this dude's shit up, you know what I mean?
Gives it a little bit of emotional twist in that sense, because, I mean, if you look at it from a real life standpoint, that's usually how it happens. The one that wants out is the one who gets killed, and then
the
naturally had somebody waiting at home for him, and all these guys are just like, hey, fuck it, you know, we die kind of thing.
And then they added Scott Adkins. Do you know who Scott Adkins is?
I believe
he's the kicker.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually a big fan of Scott Adkins. You know, so I pretty much follow his career. He just does a lot of these under the table, straight to DVD movies that kind of suck a little bit. The story suck, but the action's really, really good.
How Steven Seagal went.
Yeah, so I was very excited to see him in the movie, and then he had a pretty good knife fight with Jason Statham at the end. Yeah, and then got cut up by the repellers. So that was pretty cool. Who else did they have? Dolph Lundgren's character. They tried to make him more funny or relevant in the movie. In
this one, Jet Li's. I need more money for the family.
Yeah, but then it's like, I mean, in the second one, Jet Li was barely in the movie. He
I think he was just in the opening cut.
Yeah, he did his opening cut scene, and then he went off to do whatever. Then they brought
the other kid. Yeah, they had Arnold, and then
they gave him more screen time in there because he was barely in the first one.
Yeah, and then Chuck Norris came in and made the snake joke.
Yeah, I felt like Chuck Norris, again, a high-level martial artist that didn't have a fight scene. All he did was shoot a bunch of people up. I felt like maybe he was too old, that he couldn't kick anybody anymore. You know, because he was reaching his 80s.
Something like that.
He's up there. So I was, expecting a little bit more out of Lone Wolf, but I mean, it's still all good. I mean, the action was good.
If I'm not mistaken, Bruce Willis's character had a little bit more action in that one.
I forgot all about that dude.
Yeah,
because
that was when they were in the airport.
Mm-hmm. And they had the big shootout scene where there was like 7 guys over against 50, and they're all killed all the 50.
Yeah, and Arnold made the joke about the car being the size of a shoe.
Yeah.
They had some pretty good one-liners in that one.
They had a lot of one-liners in that one. Let's discuss the third one.
Ooh. That one, I feel like that was just kind of... It was starting to hang on. Like, it wasn't necessarily a bad movie, but it was one of those that I feel like they were just reaching by the time they got to that point.
I will say it is a typical action movie. You know, like based in the 70s and 80s, where the story just did not make sense or didn't care.
Didn't really add up in a sense.
They try to overcompensate that with a lot of action.
Yeah.
You know? And then they brought the younger crowd in there to help them out with the action.
Yeah.
This is back when a bunch of the MMA guys were pretty early in their careers. Had Ronda Rousey before she got her ass kicked, and then they had...
and went to the WWE.
Yeah. And then they had the one kid, the other MMA fighter, before he got his ass kicked. It sounds so bad. And then,
career enders, man.
And then they brought Antonio Banderas.
Oh yeah, I forgot they had him in there.
I think people forgot about him in general.
Yeah,
because he hasn't been doing a lot of movies.
I think the last thing that was relevant prior to that was what? Maybe Mask of Zorro? No, I think it was Spy Kids.
Yeah,
I think it was Spy Kids.
I don't think Spy Kids was relevant though.
Yeah, fair, but one of his last more maybe known roles.
Yeah,
before.
But he had some decent actions. Again, each character had their run-of-the-mill go on the action, the one-liners and stuff like that. They had Mel Gibson as a villain.
Braveheart.
Yeah.
It's always one of those things where you just immediately have that one movie associated.
Yeah. I mean, he did have all the Lethal Weapons.
That's true. Those were good.
But they didn't have any Lethal Weapon references. So I was a little heartbroken about that. I was like, hey, can I get I'm too old for this shit?
Exactly.
Something like that,
exactly.
But, I mean, it was fine.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Wesley.
Oh, hell, I forgot he was in
that. Let's talk about Wesley. Because they made the taxes joke. How he wasn't in the Expendables for a while or whatever.
Yeah.
They break him out of jail in the first act of the movie. You know, and then he's shaving with the razor and all that other stuff, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
They did, I don't want to get racist, but they did add another color to the group, only because the other color got shot in the first act of the movie.
Oh, yeah,
and then he wasn't in for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, the chess dancer is what I call him, because he always flexes his pecs.
I won't respect him. His name is Terry Crews. You know, he does decent movies.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I enjoy it. I enjoy his films.
And then, so they hired all the new kids. New kids on the block is what I call them for this particular episode. The younger crowd that all gets captured in the fucking movie.
And then you have to get rescued by
you know, has to rely on the older crowd to go save them. You know what I mean?
The ones that are basically in retirement and on the way out the door.
You know, just...
At that point, Statham's character, I think he was technically married off, and he was like trying to get out of it at that point, I think, in the third one.
No, what happened was his girl cheated on him again and left him.
Oh, that's right. So
I think they made references to that part.
Yeah, he was just pissed off at that point. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't say I blame him. And if you're a mercenary, what better outlet than to, you know, go shove a few knives in there.
They did have a pretty explosive ending where they had the abandoned little, I want to say it's apartment building, whatever building that they all was at. Got captured at or whatever, and then everybody was just killing everybody in the thing. I feel like that's a lot better in a secluded area where there's a bunch of rooms and everything.
Yeah.
Than like an open airport where everybody is literally just shooting at you in one spot, and then you still don't get shot. It makes it a little bit more believable.
Yeah, kind of like how John Wick can be at times.
Yeah. It's easier to shoot people in secluded areas and do your action scenes compared to open area.
Yeah,
and then
there's gonna be casualties.
Like, they brought Jet Li back, and Stallone, or not Stallone, but Schwarzenegger in the helicopter, flying around in the helicopter shooting a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So there's that. You know, they had their little few scenes, but I feel like they got too old that they couldn't do the action anymore.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks because I like Jet Li.
Jet Li was badass. Like,
you know.
I feel like he still is, like, secretly. He's probably just more tame.
I feel like he retired. That is true. He did retire, and he doesn't do any movies anymore.
Yeah.
So that sucks for him.
Still wouldn't be the guy you'd want to get into a fight with in an alleyway.
No. And then they just made announcements, like, lately, that they're going to do a fourth Expendables movie.
I think I've seen that on Stallone's Instagram.
With Jason Statham taking the lead on that.
Is he?
Yeah, but I don't know who the confirmed other actors are going to be. I'm assuming Dolph Lundgren's going to do it because he has nothing to do with his career.
Yeah.
You know, he's making those shitty direct-to-DVD movies. Maybe Wesley Snipes can get his taxes together and
get into the fourth
one. I'm assuming Stallone's going to make some sort of appearance.
Yeah. Maybe Arnold. I don't know if Arnold is up to the challenge.
I felt like through all these movies, we didn't even talk about Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, that's true.
He was in the first one, like small role, but he didn't do any action shit though.
Yeah. He wasn't in the second one, was he?
I don't think so. I think he peaked on the first one. It was like
it's kind of one and done.
Yeah, I don't want to do any more movies or whatever.
Yeah.
We did Iron Man too, so there's that.
It's true.
I couldn't really see him as a big action star in the 70s and 80s. He just did a lot of movies.
Yeah.
So there's that.
But overall, all three of them really wasn't bad movies. Like,
it is a good series of movies. And they are entertaining.
Worth a watch through if you're into action.
Yes.
Of course.
So we're not bashing it too bad.
Yeah.
You know.
Just that freaking, oh God, Van Damme. Like, I just go back to that because it's like...
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, it's great.
And then his obsession with the goat and all that. And
yeah.
It's like, ooh, you're going to cut me. Like, yeah. I'm like, bro.
I most definitely hated the third one compared to the. I think the third one was my walking out point in the theaters.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember what scene. Oh, it was a scene where Antonio Banderas like jumps through the window, and like does like a somersault into the next floor of other windows and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my walking out point. because there's no way in hell that was
Because it started to get a little unrealistic in that sense. Yeah.
They try to make him like this huge 70-year-old acrobatic.
Right.
And no.
It's like, you ain't Zorro no more, buddy.
No. Although I like Mask of Zorro.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
You know.
I was always a Zorro fan even growing up, like even on like the Disney Channel and stuff. But
yeah, Mask of Zorro was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I can't think of any other action movies that Antonio has. Oh, okay. He had Desperado. I'll give him that. He had
Truthfully, I've never seen that one.
Dude, Desperado's pretty good.
Is it?
Them sequels, though, like Once Upon a Time in Mexico? No.
No?
No. Desperado was good. So we got to
check that one out.
Check that one out. But I think that's it for those 3 movies. I think we bashed them enough. I think we bashed on their careers more than we bashed on the movies.
I was gonna say, yeah, the movies were
good.
The careers, you can tell, were at that point where it's like it's like all good actors. Like I'll say they were all good actors. Like Stallone was always one of my favorite action stars growing up, and Statham is a badass.
I do like Jason Statham.
Yeah.
That third Transporter though. We'll talk about that on another episode.
Yeah,
we will talk about that on another episode.
Transporter movies will eventually make its way.
Yeah, what are we doing next week?
Fast and Furious?
Oh, yes. Fast and Furious. Fast Saga.
All 9 of those damn things. So
20.
Right, and soon to be 11 because 10's a 2-parter, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
So, Fast and the Furious and Walkers in Space.
That should be a good episode, but I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. Jimmy, James, Socials Productions Movie Reviews. We'll see you guys next week.